The Open Knowledge Foundation is a community-based not-for-profit, which was founded in 2004, that builds tools and communities around an open knowledge commons. That's material that anybody is able to use, reuse, and redistribute freely without restriction. So the aim of that is to build something like, a better way to get to work, how do we, an understanding of climate change, where does our tax money go when we pay our taxes, all of those kind of apps and tools and communities that use that material and understand it to make our world better in some way, to better governments, better research, better economy. So the issue was about kind of information sharing. So to say we build these tools in communities, but it's around this commons of material that people can freely share. And that was the kind of key concept behind the OKF. And the point was, well, the basic point was, hey, to understand stuff and to put together material takes lots of people. So you start off with yourself when you're a kid, and like the world kind of gets bigger and bigger as you read more and there's more information, and eventually your brain can't handle it all anymore, right? You forget things. That starts happening to you. And there's a kind of question of, well, let's say, I want to understand the financial crisis. I want to understand where all the money goes. And that's probably, a 5-year job for me on my own. Maybe I can't even do it. So we have to collaborate with other people. That's how human knowledge has advanced. But in this digital age, where we still have these technologies and a large amount of information to process, that's another challenge. So how can we put together these technologies and with the material, the data, to work on it and understand it? And the kind of, I guess, 2 or 3 options here. One is you can go into government. You could join the CIA or the NSA and get access to really big computing power and really lots of data. You could join Google or some other really massive corporation that has access to large amounts of data and process it. But normally the problem is even if you started Google, you probably don't have that. You can't suddenly go to the shareholders of Google, hey, we want to spend all our time kind of understanding the financial crisis. You need to build stuff that makes money in some way. So even there, your autonomy to actually use this infrastructure and this community to understand the world in some better way or to investigate a particular area is limited. But what's amazing is we've seen in software this way that a distributed collaborative community of people who are not part of a single formal organization who've got together kind of informally to build that kind of massive information infrastructures. The software that runs your computer is probably the most complex thing that humanity's ever created, and yet a lot of it's put together by people who may not have even met. And that was the kind of inspiration to say, okay, we want to build those kind of data infrastructures, those kind of information infrastructures to understand the world. And to do that, we therefore, unless I want to be, the NSA or the CIA, or I want to be Google, I have to do it with a distributed, open community. And the key thing is, for that community to work, it needs information that everyone can freely use. If I have to keep going around to everyone I ever get data from and ask their permission, it completely fails. In a big company, you can have lots of lawyers who go and do that, and then everyone in the company is allowed to share it. If you wanted a distributed community that can scale up to a global way without being inside a centralized corporation or a centralized government, you needed open data, you needed open content. I mean, one thing to emphasize is while there's a lot of coding that goes on because kind of code and data become one. Also, there's lots of people here. One of the things that's really amazing about OKCon and the Open Knowledge Foundation is there are people who are completely non-technical who do stuff. They're also like really geeky people and people in between. And I think that's what's exciting, especially. One is they're quite often socially motivated. They're really interested in changing things, maybe changing how government and governance works, or they're really interested in a different approach to education or a different approach to science. Like why can't we all get involved in scientific research now? Why does it have to be some small kind of elite that gets to do that? So I think there's that kind of motivation. I think there's also an engagement. So they're not just coders; they're coding with data or material, and therefore engaged tenderly with a much bigger audience. Most of the people, one of the issues often with free and open source software is it's kind of geeks building tools for geeks. Whereas I think for this to work, it's about us when we're building tools, when we're doing coding, it's to build something that we hope quite a large community can use. Yeah, I really want just a good transport routing kind of app. I mean, I want lots of them. I want anyone to go and build a system for where's the best way on public transport or the best way to fly. It's so frustrating to find at the moment, just to even know whether someone flies between 2 destinations and what, when and where and so on. So that's one thing I'd really like. I guess I'd really like something we're trying to build, but it's one of the things I always was doing in my spare time, but it's just kind of what I know, the intertext or the openliterature.org, as I kind of think of it, which is just all public domain literature in kind of one place, and not just in one place, but interlinked, with people able to annotate it, say, Nietzsche read this, or, I read this, to anthologize it. Just a real, not only the underlying text, but kind of interwoven together by the comments and interactions of the user around it. That's something I love people to build. Yeah, I don't know. Those are my two big ones. Yeah, I think it was a huge success, and thanks to you guys actually, and all the people who've come, and Daniel Dietrich and Lucy here and Hauke. Yeah, I think it's been amazing. It's only been the best OKCon so far. I mean, each year each year I think they get better, and this year's been amazing here in Berlin. So yeah, I think it's been a big success. Well, like almost everything that we've been doing, when we started, almost everything was directly ported or borrowed from there. The open definition, opendefinition.org is taken from the open source definition, really directly based on it and inspired by it. Many of the ideas we have about how we can share knowledge and componentization and collaboration come from there. I don't know. So I think one of the big things to learn in some ways the tooling and the architecture and some of the ideas. I don't know. I think what's interesting that we haven't quite had is the way that community, when it matured, is people this kind of specialization, and maybe the way the ecosystem evolved, and the specialization sent us, like people who maybe don't even directly create new software, but help kind of format or package up existing material to make it easier for others to use. So kind of intermediaries in that regard. I think also one thing to learn is that we shouldn't get too. What's important is to have this key distinction about open data, as in the open definition, but not to get too hung up over free versus open or things like that. Come and get involved. Go to okfm.org and register, okfm.org/register, and sign up. Put where your location is, and we can put you in touch with other people interested. Come and look at our projects and get involved in our working groups, in a regional, regional interest group or chapter. We'd love to hear from you.